Okay. We made it again.
Okay, Happy New Year again, everybody, and welcome to the first council meeting for 2022. I now call this meeting to order, and here we are in person, beginning a new year and at a different time from our usual schedule. By the way, these meetings will continue to be held at this hour, 11 a.m. on the third Tuesday of each month. And the meeting place, though, will rotate as construction is completed in the Sky Lounge or in this room. I quote, though, for you now to start. For a recent Wall Street Journal op-ed, we crave contact with others. We need to look people in the eye, engage their sincerity of conviction. We like to meet because body language often communicates better than words, right? Being social is who we are. I like that quote. We truly hope that the pandemic will decline and we'll have more normality in our daily lives and at HH, but with our very important Monday Markets financial support, hopefully, we'll be able to move more actively, enjoying and participating in the 70 programs and events sponsored by this Residents Council. We, all of us residents, provide the secret sauce that symbolizes the unique and special character of Horizon House. So, our agenda today is as follows. Slide. Change that slide. Okay. So we'll have administrative updates here in a moment from our CEO. Minutes of our December meeting will be approved or not, and the treasurer's report will continue. And a Monday market report, and then the president again will speak to you and make some appointments as required by the bylaws. The vice president for programs will also have a section, and then will be our spotlight for the day, as well as finally a little remark or two from our vice president for administration. Okay. So let's begin today with the report from our CEO, Mike Ostrom. Let's do another slide here. Okay.
Here I am again. I feel like I've been at this podium too many times recently, but it's all good. Welcome. Glad we're able to be here in person, even though it's a little wonky. You know, it's just kind of our life right now. I hope it's going to change, but in the absence of that, we just have to kind of keep doing our thing. Wear the masks. You know, some talking points that I'm given, you know, before these things, it's from, you know, Lori, always making sure you got to wear the mask. So no food and drinking in the public areas until further notice. So we want to make sure that we don't have a reason to be pulling our masks down. The bistro and TDR are limited to a couple of residents per table, and no outside guests for right now. Hopefully we're in some kind of a cresting of this wave, and then things are going to get a little bit better, and we'll back off these things. The outdoor assisted living visits can be scheduled with Life Enrichment. So for those who have family or friends in assisted living, we do want to make that outdoor space. Not that it's like perfect weather for it, but we're trying to do our best here. Strategic planning. Thank you for those of you who participated, whether in person or at home, in the strategic planning presentations. It was an awful lot of material. And I do understand that it can be just like a real drinking from a fire hose, but my hope is that everyone is able to kind of digest, and there will be lots of more opportunity for talking through the strategic plan. And as we've said, there are a lot of externalities, things that we don't control. We're going to try to keep going down this path towards a West Wing tower with the understanding there's many things out there we don't control that can change that trajectory. But that's what we're doing so far. The Zoom recording link has been posted on HH Connect, I guess, or I should say it will be by the end of the week. And we'll be replaying on HHTV the last larger group session we had. So for those of you who just can't wait to get more of it, right? Your chance to, like, instead of watching your favorite TV show, you can watch me drone on about that topic again, just in case. Now, we're going to get back to our regular small group sessions here, starting the first week of February, which may or may not include conversation on strategic planning, depends on what people want to talk about. But can you even believe that we're talking about February? I mean, I feel like we just got our turkey out of the oven for Thanksgiving, and here we are talking February. So the dates will be published on the alert on Friday, and you'll need to make your reservation with Beth so that we get the groups all set. And this may, you know, again, it's whatever the topics are that are most important to you. We'll have a few items to talk about, but hopefully we'll have more of it be a question and answer so that you feel like you walk out of the room with your questions being answered. The annual board meeting with residents is, you know, happens every year, and annual, I guess, that would make sense. Tuesday, February 8th at between 4 and 5 p.m. And, you know, I know sometimes that might be a little wonky and that, you know, you don't interact a lot with the board of directors, board of trustees, and the meeting might seem at times not like one that is, you know, easy one to participate in, but, you know, participate in it, ask questions when the opportunity is there, and most importantly, get to know some of the board of trustees. We have a really incredible board. I would say, certainly in my time, you know, 9 years here, I think this is the best board of trustees we've had. We have very genuinely interested people who care about the quality of the community and its success, and they want to know what you think as, you know, residents here and your points of view. And don't be afraid to, you know, you can't go and ask them some nitty-gritty question, you know, about, you know, why the ham and cheese is, you know, on whole wheat versus white. They're not going to know the answer to that, but they do want to know what you think and what's important so that when we're making decisions, they're not doing it in a vacuum. And it's helpful if they're not just informed by a handful of us who are part of the community, but they have some firsthand experience. So I will encourage, and I know Ann will too, and Mike Meekum, for board members to reach out, but also please feel free to reach out as well. And then let's see, the CEO monthly report, you know, comes out every month, and there's always a few tidbits in there. It's our way of staying connected with everyone, and just one more vehicle of communication that we emphasize and makes us unique. And then, of course, we've got on the 28th of the month, our next fireside chat. And we'll, you know, I always think, gosh, what will we be able to say, you know, 1 month from now? Well, there's always tons of things. So we look forward to seeing everybody for that. That's all I have. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Has something interesting to say and sometimes something surprising. And I just want to point out, by the way, that we should tell all of our new residents as you meet them that attending these meetings, the Residents Council and the Fireside Chats, is necessary to stay up to date and know what's going on in this place, right? Okay. To begin the business of our meeting today, I call on our secretary, Connie Hillier, to present the minutes of the last meeting.
The minutes of the December regular meeting have been circulated to all of the members of the council, and I just wanted to add for the residents in general, this is a particularly interesting and meaty set of minutes because it summarizes the past year and all of the activities that we've managed to do despite COVID. And you can find them in the Residents Council white binder in the library, or they're also posted on HH Connect in the Residents Council box. So I now present the minutes of the December regular meeting for your approval.
So we have this motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I second it.
All right, the second, all in favor on the council say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So the motion passes. Now I'd like to call on our treasurer, Diane Tinker.
I have the treasurer's report for December 31st. December income, well, you can see all the figures up there. 7,638. December expenses, 3,684. Net income for December, $3,954. Our year-to-date income for the first 9 months of our fiscal year, $62,075. Expenses, $43,736. Our year-to-date net income is $18,339. This month, we started the budget process for all of our committees. Each committee is working right now on forecasting the budget that they will ask for. The forms are due by the end of the month. The budget committee will be meeting next month. And at the March meeting, I will present the budget for the year. Now I'd like to introduce Tammy Elbow, the co-director of the Monday Market, for her Monday Market report.
Hello, I think Susan isn't here, so you just get me. First about the money, we had a really good November and December, averaging over $2,000 a week in those months. I think in November, that was primarily because residents were doing their Christmas shopping at the Monday Market. This was a great year for buying secondhand things, especially because ours are such good quality. I bought virtually all my gifts here, and I took them up to Alaska. So that was November. December, I think, was particularly good because a lot of staff were spending their employee recognition fund money and the bonus they got at the Monday Market. And so those 2 months were really good. We're sort of back to reality now. The last few weeks, we've been making $1,600 or $1,700 a week, which is fine, but it's not those heady high numbers that we'd had. Just a mention of the transition, as you know, Susan and I will be stepping down as co-directors at the end of March. The new co-directors take over April 1st. I mention that because some people have thought that we change on January 1st like the rest of the Residents' Council, and so people are coming to the Monday Market and they say, well, what are you still doing here? But we're here because we're here through the end of March. And on April 1st, Jennifer Stucker and Barbara McCard will take over. And I just want to reassure everybody, they are doing a wonderful job already. They're coming in, working with us every day that we work, which is about 4 days a week. And they're learning on the job, they're learning what we do, they're shadowing us, and we're also meeting with them and talking about things that are on the computer and processes and policies. So they're going to be fabulous. The only other thing I want to mention is that we're aware of COVID, obviously, everybody is, in 2 ways in the Monday Market. The first is that it does mean that some of our volunteers can't be there sometimes. Either, we haven't had very many who are actually sick with COVID, but that has happened. More often they have been exposed or they're awaiting the results of a test, and so it means we have to call on substitutes more often. So if I call you and say, are you available, next Monday from 9 to 11 in women's clothing, I hope you'll consider saying yes. And of course, the other thing is that we read the COVID updates every day, as does everybody else. And, at some point, everything may shut down again, who knows, but we're trying to just stay light on our feet and be prepared for things to change. So that's what's happening in the Monday Market. Elizabeth.
As required by our bylaws, in the January meeting, the following people are appointed annually. Those are some members of the council and some appointee non-members of the council. So, to begin, the coordinators of programs and activities, arts, participation, and games will be assigned to Nancy Pope to coordinate. Education section to Judy Ostro. I was going to ask each of them to stand just so you know who they are. So Nancy, would you stand just so they know who you are? And then Judy Ostro over here. And then our entertainment and B2 activity rooms will be coordinated by Mr. Wilton Fowler. Would you stand over here? And then our environmental and discussion group section will be Dick Clark. And our liaison director or coordinator will be Deanna Nelson, who isn't with us today, but is watching on TV. And our social events by Joan Bowers, whom I assume is doing the same. Assisted living by Nancy Olson. Okay. Among the administrator coordinators this year will be for our Employee Recognition Fund, Nancy McReynolds and Sally Wren will be sharing that role. And for executive assistant and our meeting room support person will be Beth Davis. And our Monday Market co-directors, even though they do not take office in January, but do begin at our fiscal year in April, are going to be Jennifer Stucker and Barbara McHarg. Our office manager, again, will return as assistant treasurer, and that's Lila Doyle. Our finance committee is appointed at this stage as well. And those are for chair, council member Sally Wren and council member Wilton Fowler. And non-council member, but appointed very definitely, is Dave Shoup. Okay. Our philanthropy committee will be handled as usual by Nancy McReynolds as a representative. And then our archivist is here, and that's Marianne Mira. Thank you for coming, you people. Appreciate that. Okay. Now I'm going to call on May Gersel, who you will see on a Zoom picture here, who's our Vice President for Programs. Right now, the main focus of the council is on this topic, and she will fill you in.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I hope you can hear me. During the day of the next resident council meeting, which is February 15th, you will receive your new program booklet and sign-up sheets. Some committees have chairs, and a few are still looking for one. Please consider stepping up. I really want to thank all of you who have agreed to lead an activity, a game, or a discussion group. There is certainly something being offered for everyone. We hope that this will be an opportunity for you to feel more engaged, enlightened, and to have more fun. Now I would like to introduce Jim Yearby. He's a member of the Board of Trustees. He's going to be our next speaker, and he will talk about the Board of Trustees, Community Relations, and Diversity Committee.
Thank you so much. I am excited and pleased to attend your meeting today. It's a good opportunity for me as a representative of the Community Relations and Diversity Committee to get to know you all as members of the Residence Council. I realized the important role that you play at Horizon House, and certainly think it's important for, first, me as a board member, and secondly, as a committee member, to understand the role of the resident council a little bit better. So my name is Jim Yerby, and I'm in my second year of a 2-year term as a Horizon House Board of Directors. It is my second year and first year as chair of the Community Relations and Diversity Committee. Just a little bit about my background. I attended Seattle University and graduated from the School of Business with a business degree. I also attended the University of Puget Sound, followed a similar course, and graduated with a master's degree in public administration. Over the years, I've worked for a variety of organizations. My current role, I serve as Vice President for Human Resources at United Way of King County. Really want to express my excitement that the Community Relations and Diversity Committee is meeting with the Resident Council. I want to step out and thank the Community Relations and Diversity Subcommittee who worked to make this meeting possible. So thanks to them for their foresight, their interest in having me have this opportunity to meet with you today. I really think it's important for the Community Relations and Diversity Committee to grow their relationship with the Resident Council. I think we have a lot of things in common around diversity, equity, inclusion. And I would like to see that interest and relationship grow. And I think it's especially important to recognize that I believe the board, the Community Relations and Diversity Committee, and everyone else really do have the best interests of Horizon House. And so we will all work for that, for attainment of that goal. My experience has been when people work together, there's more in common than not so. I believe that's the case here. Important for me, and I think the Community Relations and Diversity Committee, is to listen carefully and support the work that is going on at Horizon House, whether it's at the board level, at the resident council level, or at various community levels. I'm appreciate you put in before us the committee members, most of whom are residents. And I think Jan joins me as the or the board member that you see displayed. I really do want to let you know how interested I am personally in getting to know the work of the resident council and where it's possible to support that and to join with the Community Relations and Diversity Committee's role and interests, and so that you all understand what we're trying to do. And I think just looking forward and excited about the opportunity to possibly work together for a common goal around diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'll stop talking now and back out. And if you have any questions for me or about the committee, or I would be excited and happy to respond. I know we have a PowerPoint presentation that I think we're going to go through, and I don't want to take away from that. And I don't know who is going to help with that. I guess, does anyone know? Is Jan on the call?
Slide. There. I apologize for the fact that the slide is so wordy. But it does say what we do, and my role here will be fairly brief to, excuse me, to discuss the purpose of the committee and describe it a bit. As Jim pointed out, the work of this committee, which is a committee of the board and not a committee of the Residence Council, is to support the work going on at Horizon House. The purpose of the committee is to lead Horizon House in welcoming residents of many backgrounds and ensuring that the wider community recognizes our spirit of diversity, inclusion, and equity. The board charges the committee to carry out its mission and purpose by means of a document called its charter. And these 4 points are points included in the charter of the committee: to identify, cooperate with, and support Seattle nonprofit organizations that share Horizon House's commitment to enhancing diversity and inclusion, to be welcoming, promote acceptance, and provide accessibility so that Horizon House's resident population continues to improve its balance of diversity, to foster an atmosphere of communication and collaboration with existing Residence Council committee efforts, and to actively celebrate the diversity that exists at Horizon House among staff and residents. In other words, it's fairly clear that this is a link. This group is a link between the board and the Residence Council and the residents, of course. So you went to the next slide. You knew I didn't have to tell you. The first thing that we describe here that we do is directly coming from the board, support nonprofit organizations in Seattle each year. We make grants to selected nonprofit organizations that provide services to older adults from diverse backgrounds, such as racial, ethnic, religious, sexual orientation or identity, and socioeconomic. These grants are funded with cash generated by Horizon House, not Residence Council funds, specifically from operations, investment earnings, and entrance fees. In 2021, the grants totaled $40,000. This year, it will be $50,000. To date, $5,000 is the maximum per grant that each recipient may receive for up to 2 years. In exchange, we ask the recipient organizations to include mention of Horizon House as a supporter and their printed materials. And we also ask them to let us know if there are opportunities for Horizon House residents to volunteer with them in order to foster the community relations part of what is a part of our mission. Next slide, please. So last year, these were the recipients. I think you could see them. The bottom two were more or less ongoing grants. We do re-grant them every year. There had been a grant to Simon's House. They returned it this year, and we distributed it to 10 food banks. And as probably most people know, this committee is the one that makes a grant to the sewing room for the sewing that people do for shelters. Next slide. So on the other side of the name of our committee is promoting resident diversity. This is a longer term objective, as one might imagine, but we do encourage current residents to invite friends and acquaintances of diverse backgrounds and socioeconomic levels to visit us for consideration as a future resident. Reach out a little bit, in other words, beyond maybe what the immediate circle would have been. Communicate to Horizon House residents volunteer opportunities within local community organizations committed to diversity. It's pretty obvious that COVID has gotten in the way of that, but we do have information from the organizations we made grants to as to what volunteer opportunities could be available if we were able to do it. And there's quite a rich variety of things that one can do. In-house, we support the efforts of human resources, communications, and marketing staff to make Horizon House better known in the community as a home that welcomes everyone. And finally, we encourage interactions that provide a spotlight on our resident-driven richness at Horizon House. For example, showing diverse outside communities the film that Mark Mullen, our engineer, produced about our weekly Black Lives Matter group, which was shown on HHTV, I think more than once, or getting a variety of diverse communities in Seattle to make presentations here, again, when that's possible, so that they can learn about us and we can learn about them. We, of course, support the work of the Residence Council committees, such as the Parallel Diversity Awareness Committee, the Neighborhoods Committee, and Communications, in presenting programs in-house and in the community that enhance Horizon House's diversity efforts. There are individual members of our committee that are on these Residence Council committees as well, which provides a link. And beyond our work on the committee, I think I can say fairly that all of the members of the committee are committed to continuing to pursue individual relationships in the community as residents of Horizon House, as we hope all residents will do. And finally, to go with the final point in our purpose, we are available to support initiatives that showcase the diversity of our residents and staff. I am put in mind of the big map that's in the hall on B1, showing where all of the various people who work here come from. I think it's a simple thing, but a rich thing to have, and the staff commemoration or exhibits that were done a while back were
that sort of thing as well. So that's our committee. Thank you for the spotlight. And I'm here to announce Carol Roach will speak.
Just before she stepped down, I'm sorry that weren't introduced quite properly, but this is Karen Perret. In case you didn't know, one of our.
I have a name tag and it's a really big one, so you can see it.
Thank you. Sorry, Carol.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you, Jim and Karen. I learned a lot from that and appreciate that spotlight. I am Carol Roach, and this is my first regular resident council meeting. Though the agenda mentions the usual question and answer period after this meeting, that will not happen this month. One of the activities, though, that I am most looking forward to as Vice President for Administration is planning and hosting the events that we hold periodically for new residents here. The most recent new resident orientation was held by outgoing Audrey Whitecamp on December 29th in her last few days of office. And we estimate that the next orientation will be in March, depending on the rate of move-ins earlier this year. My goal is to hold orientations that are informative, friendly, and fun. I'd like residents to come away with both the facts and the flavor of the opportunities our programs offer. I also hope that our orientations give new residents a chance to voice their hopes for their future lives at Horizon House, and that those new residents feel comfortable to let us know how we can smooth any bumps in their early months here. For me, at least, I know it's going to be a great pleasure. With that, I return the mic to our president.
Thanks, Carol. And weren't you pleased to see how many residents are involved in this very important committee that the trustees are in charge of? I just wondered, did anyone have any questions at this point about anything that was said today? And yes, we do have one from Olga here.
What is the process used by the community, the diversity committee, to give the community grants of money?
I can speak to that if
Can I give Jim some sound?
I can speak to the question.
Can you hear?
Go ahead and say it one more time. Tell me to go.
Hello, Jim?
Yes, I'm here. Are you trying to bring up a slide? Can you all hear me?
I can.
I was going to respond to the question about the process that we use to evaluate grant applications for support. It's pretty elaborate. We look for a relationship that's provided by a community organization that matches with the Community Relations and Diversity Committee's role. And the committee members each rank applications, voting for an award of between $2,000 and $5,000. And actually, before we even start the voting process or the ranking process, we have representatives of all the organizations come in and give a brief presentation about their work, about their role, and about their need for support to carry out the mission. And so it's a fairly lengthy process. It's a lot about how does the role of the community organizations relate to the mission of the Community Relations and Diversity Committee, as well as larger goals of Horizon House. Hope that helps with how the process works.
That some of the grants that we've made in the past were, in addition to the ones we've made just this past year, the Asian Counseling and Referral Services, El Centro de la Raza, the organization in the central area that provides assistance and services for mainly Spanish-speaking immigrants and others. Mary's Place, the Plymouth Housing Group, of which Simon House is a part, and I commented on that earlier, Pratt Fine Arts, Solid Ground, and Wider Horizons. As I mentioned, we do have a 2-year limit, so we're building up this, this backlog of wonderful people.
Stay, Karen.
Thank you.
Karen, stay.
Yes?
So, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. If there are no more further questions or comments, the meeting is adjourned at 11:45. Thank you.